Hi, how you doing? I'm Roland Rutland. I'm a graduate of UOP, School of Engineering, class of, I guess, 99, 2000. I majored in electrical engineering here and engineering management, and have since then been in the industry of networking world, working at Cisco Systems and then transitioning to Ixia. So I think a lot of you guys are probably in the same situation that I was when I was here at UOP, a little bit scared, a little bit worried, and wondering, what's going to happen? How am I going to take all this education out into the real world? And I know that was a big concern for me, not knowing where to go. And you get exposed to a lot of things in your current job, and you get to build and learn from what experiences you've had at UOP and take that moving forward, and it works out pretty good. So I can talk about my how I started from here. Once I left UOP, I went right into Cisco Systems. Actually, it was my co-op, my second co-op. And I stayed with them for about a year, and part of it being my co-op, and then part of it working while I was in school. Graduated, went there as a test engineer. I think I broke more boards than I fixed. I knew that was a bad thing. So I went into software development or dev test, which my job was to break things as a software engineer and make sure things worked before we sent it out to the field. And that worked out really well. I got a chance to learn a lot of things and be able to apply what I learned here in networking, and then get certified for Cisco certification and continue to learn. And then it just seemed like a great opportunity to move to a company like Ixia as well, because Cisco was their #1 customer. So that kind of connection there was really good. Allowed me to go over there as a system engineer, learned every day. Every day was just dynamic. And I realized that's exactly what I wanted. Went really well, got to learn a lot of things, meet a lot of people, work with them daily, and then I moved up into sales, sales management. So now I'm a regional sales manager, still supporting Cisco, but working at Ixia. So it worked out great. When I went into test engineering, that was my first job at Cisco. It was basically a lot of troubleshooting. I'd get hardware that was just developed, and at this point, we have to kind of make sure things are working. We can get it to other groups, and we were pretty much the intro group. Once an engineer, a hardware engineer and software engineers would develop things, they would come to our group, and we'd make sure these prototypes worked well and that we can get them out to other groups. So all these other groups were dependent upon what we did, and it was pretty scary because they're coming and knocking on your door. They're saying, hey, if you don't do this, we can't ship. And you're sitting there going, this is a lot of pressure. But it was good pressure because I learned how to work with other people in these cross-functional groups. And then transitioning into my next job in dev test, that was really a different experience, because now I'm not so much working with the hardware, but I'm actually working more with supporting the network, testing different protocols, making sure those protocols work before we actually ship out to our customer. So it's a lot of just verifying that if a customer is going to use something in a certain way, that they really can do it. They can really utilize it in that way, in that fashion. And if you it's so critical, because you think this is just one test, and if I is it that big of a thing? But when you don't test something correctly and it gets out into the field, the dollars it takes to kind of fix it when it's broken in the field is significant. And so you start realizing the importance of your role, and you realize it's really big, because it's not just your local area, but we're talking about Cisco Systems and on a global scale. And so it became really dynamic at that point. Moved into Ixia. I transitioned from Cisco to the company called Ixia, and there I was a system engineer. That one was a very different experience. It was really a chance to be even more technical, learn more about networking, but now you're kind of doing this customer interaction where you're meeting with customers every day, and they're saying, our stuff doesn't work, or this is not working correctly, and we need you to fix it. And it's really a lot of firefighting. But when you get it done, you get the satisfaction of knowing, hey, I helped somebody, they got their testing done, they're going to look better in front of their boss, our product did well, and it's a good fit. It really works out well. And so continuing to support them that way, it allows you to kind of move in a different direction if you want to get into management, and that's kind of the direction I went into. As far as interests, I think for me, I really appreciated just working with different people. Having that interaction with different people. I think that's really why I wanted to kind of make a transition from what I was currently doing at Cisco to moving into Ixia, because it's more of a customer interface type situation versus kind of being in a test environment where I'm testing on a daily basis. So that part I really enjoyed, going in front of a customer and presenting an idea to them and saying, this is what we think you guys are looking for based on what you've asked, and is that what you need? And at that point they can share that, and then you start realizing, okay, this isn't exactly what they wanted. how do we get creative on this one? How do we kind of help them, meet their goal of being able to test and get the job done? And that involves a lot of understanding and communicating with them, but you can get really creative and have different solutions on how we could provide a short-term solution if what they're looking for isn't available at that point. So it's kind of a balance. You get a chance to learn all the technical aspects of it all the technology, and you get a chance to work directly with people, and then your communications as far as presentations and demos, you get to enhance that as well. So it's really a dynamite opportunity. Gosh, I remember graduating from high school. I don't think I touched a computer to probably like my 11th or 12th grade in high school, and it was really, really kind of scary at that point. I remember coming to UOP, and I initially started out, as a civil engineering major, and I decided I wanted to kind of get more into the computer industry. And I remember taking my first, class, microprocessors, and I remember sitting there, and I didn't have a clue what he's saying to me. I mean, I recorded his lecture just because he's speaking another language, man. And I had to go back and replay, what he's saying and really try to understand what is he talking about, because all the different aspects of the computer were so foreign to me. The networking world definitely foreign to me, and a lot of that learning curve, I really, was really interested in really going in that direction and kind of progressing, but I didn't know how. If you're sitting there and you're saying, I don't seem as though I'm the strongest person in math or in science or some of the other areas, if you're shy and communication is tough for you, I wouldn't let that stop you. I would say, check to see if this is a direction in your life that you want to go, and if this is the field you want to be in. If it does, then just by all means, go for it and involve the right people, and learn along the ways, and you'll have a blast. I wish you well.